Hi Christine, this is feedback for your Mock 1 Paper 2 exam. So we can see here that you've got full marks for question 1, so that's a good start. And if we move on to question 2, where you're asked to write a summary of the differences between Eddie and Henry. Now, unfortunately, this first page here, you're talking about Jay, who is the father, and you only mentioned here at the very end Eddie. So this first page is not relevant to the question, so you must make sure that you read the question carefully and make sure that you're answering the question that you've been asked. Source B, you do talk about Henry and how unhappy he is, giving several points in the letter about the friends that he's got and how worried he is about being flogged and how bad his situation is. You mentioned that the bread's nearly black and it's made of the worst barley meal and so on. However, there are no comparisons made between the characters in source A and source B, which is what the question's asking you to do. You have given one quote here. Henry writes that we're used like bears than Christians, and you've explained that it means that he thinks he's been treated more like an animal than a human being. So if we look at the mark scheme for question 2, level 1 offers paraphrase rather than inference, which is mostly what you've done here. You've really just paraphrased the story. Make simple reference to textual details from one or both texts. Well, we have got that quote here, and unfortunately you haven't made any statements to show the simple difference between the texts. So I can only give you 1 mark for the quote and the explanation for that one. Moving on to question 3. You have identified that Henry uses persuasive language to let his father know that he wants to get away from boarding school. And you've said he goes on to describe how Mr. Smith is not a nice person, but you've not given us the quote to back up that point. You've not told me which words tell you that Mr. Smith is not a nice person. And again, you've not explained what bad situation that he's in and how he's trying to make him feel sorry for him. Unfortunately, I'm only able to give you 1 mark for this bullet point of level 1. Make simple use of subject terminology, not always appropriately. To gain more marks for this question, you would need to explain how he's using persuasive text or language. So for example, he's using direct address, using the words you and your to appeal directly to his father. He's using emotive language. When he's talking about the bread being nearly black, he says that it's made of the worst barley meal. He also uses the simile more like bears than Christians to emphasise the fact that they're mistreated. You could say there's repetition of my dear father, the constant repetition of it, showing that he holds his father very dear to his heart, although you could say that contrasts with the fact that he's not been home for 2 years. There's emotive language again when he says once more meet again alive. So it's either emotive language trying to appeal to his father's emotions, or exaggeration, you could say hyperbole, in that he's not really going to die from being there, so it's exaggeration. Again, exaggeration or hyperbole. I would rather be obliged to work all my lifetime than remain here for another year. As this question's worth 12 marks, you would need to make at least 4 points about different types of language and terminology that's been used in the piece of writing. Overall, this gives you a score of 6 out of 24, which means that we've got quite a bit of work to do. However, we've got 6 months to do it. Unfortunately, I think that your attendance has let you down a little bit when we've been doing the work towards this paper, and you've missed some lessons. It kind of emphasises the fact that you really do need to be attending your lessons and trying to catch up on the work at home. However, we've got another 6 months and everything is still to play for, and I'm sure that you will achieve your equivalent to your grade C in your GCSE. So keep up the good work. Make sure you're attending your lessons and catching up on any work that you miss. If necessary, come to the catch-up classes or come and see me individually if you're struggling with things.